The Borderlands movie is not great, but let's dive into what I liked, what I didn't like, and kind of give you guys an idea of what I think about the movie as a whole. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and disclose something to you guys. I was invited out to the Hollywood premiere of the movie. I was not covered for my flight or my hotel. The only thing that was paid for was my movie ticket and my refreshments. So just to be completely transparent with you up front, that will in no way, as per usual, in no way affect my rating of this movie. With that said, I also have a cameo in the movie, and I will let you guys find that on your own and not show you. That makes it a little bit more fun in my opinion. For that, I was flown to Budapest and I was put up in a hotel and I was given a per diem to be a background extra. So just so that's completely transparent as well. And once again, that will in no way affect my rating of this movie. That said, my rating of this movie is not good. I wanted to love this movie. I really did. Like a lot of you, when I first heard about the plot that Lilith was going to be a thief, I was like, okay, that's different. But you know, they didn't have a whole lot to work with from Borderlands 1's actual quote unquote story. There wasn't a whole lot of story there. So I understand that they have to, like, you know, take some liberties as Hollywood does, but I wasn't too worried about the whole Lilith as a thief thing. What did worry me was that Tina was supposedly Atlas's daughter. Now that part to me made no sense. I thought, okay, you know, maybe there's some sort of twist there, and there is, but it turned out to not be a very good twist at all. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I feel like at this point, if you haven't watched the movie, you're not going to watch the movie. If you have watched the movie and you're watching this review, then you probably already have all these exact same feelings. I have seen people rate this movie as low as a 0 and as high as an 8. I have not seen anybody go higher than an 8. And most of the people that have said 8 were like people that didn't know anything about the franchise, oddly enough. That said, I've had a couple of friends who said that the movie was an 8 out of 10 for them. Now, rating movies is a very subjective thing. What I consider to be a 10 out of 10 movie, you might consider to be a 1 out of 10 movie. Taylor Swift's music might be a 10 out of 10 for a bunch of people. For me, it's a 1 out of 10. I can't listen to Taylor Swift. Nothing against you Swifties, you guys are awesome. Try not to get destroyed over here by the Swifties, obviously, but everything is subjective. That said, there is always a place where you can just subjectively look at something and say that's poorly done, right? I think that generally speaking, most of us, even if we don't like Taylor Swift's music, can say it's done well. She knows what she's doing on a production level. Everything's great. She's clearly hitting the right notes for her fan base. That said, I don't know who this movie was supposed to be for. There is some fan service in there, and I do appreciate some of the fan service, but some of the fan service was f***ed up. Let's just be completely honest. They have a vending machine inside of Marcus's bus, which is kind of weird, but whatever. But in that vending machine, they have a free radical from Borderlands 3, and it's listed as an SMG, which is so weird because all they had to do was take the actual item card from Borderlands 3 and put it into the freaking movie, and it's a freaking pistol. It's a pistol in the game. Why is it listed as an SMG in this machine? That's just such a weird, stupid little thing. And that's very minor. I know that's very minor, but that's the kind of thing that drives me crazy. Things that I think that the movie did well. I laughed at Claptrap. I thought Claptrap was funny. I've heard people say that they didn't laugh a single time. That's fine. Humor's subjective. I laughed at Claptrap. I was surprised by Roland, Kevin Hart's performance as Roland. I thought he did really well. I know that was like one of the big things that everybody was worried about, was Kevin Hart was going to ruin this movie by trying to make Roland funny. I think people forget that Roland was funny in Borderlands 1. But that's okay. It doesn't matter because he played the role pretty seriously and pretty straightforward. There was a couple of jokes here and there, but I don't think any of it was like over the top Kevin Hart stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan, honestly, but one of my biggest concerns going into the movie, just based off of the trailers, was how Jack Black as Claptrap was going to feel to me. I didn't think that I was going to enjoy Jack Black as Claptrap because we're so used to the Dave Eddings and Jim Ferranda versions of Claptrap that I didn't think that I was going to like the Jack Black version. And it turned out I kind of did. Cate Blanchett as Lilith. Cate Blanchett could play anything, but I feel like when the source material, when the script is not really well done, it doesn't do her any favors here as Lilith, because Lilith didn't feel right most of the movie. And Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis, she did her best, but again, I think probably script wise there was issues with like conveying that, you know, Tannis is like this really freak ass scientist, right? Like I never picked up that vibe from Jamie Lee during the movie at all. Ariana Greenblatt as Tiny Tina, I think did well. Again, script didn't do her any favors. We know for a fact that Ariana Greenblatt is an amazing actress. We've seen her play young Gamora. We've seen her play young Ahsoka. We've seen her in the Barbie movie. We know that she can act. We know that she's a talented actress. But when you're given a script, which was originally written by Craig Mazin of The Last of Us and Chernobyl fame, who you would think that that script would be good, but apparently this script was written well before both of those projects, and it kind of shows, I think. I mean, I don't know how much they changed his original script, but we know from his original script that Atlas was supposed to be Tina's dad and that Lilith was supposed to be a thief. So already we get kind of an idea that Craig Mazin didn't really have the best grasp on this universe, or he just wanted to warp things to work for this thing. I don't know. But again, I don't know what all they changed in his script, so, you know, take that for what it's worth. For the actual direction of the movie, I think that Eli Roth did okay. I didn't see anything directorial wise that stood out where I was like, why did he choose that shot, or why did he do this, or why did he do that? Everything felt fine from a directorial standpoint. What didn't feel good was the pacing of the movie. The movie at the beginning is so lightning fast paced that it doesn't give any time for anything to build, and you develop really no attachment to anything, or at least I didn't. I didn't really care about the stakes of anything in this movie, and that's always a problem, because that's one of the things as a scriptwriter you need to do. You need to build the stakes. You need to develop an attachment to the main characters. One of the founding tenets of writing a good script is that you want to introduce your characters in their initial state of normalcy. That is like one of the big things in a script, is you want to introduce your characters as who they are. Now they did that for Lilith, and they kind of did that for Roland, but for Tina and Krieg, and again, this kind of delves a little bit into spoilers, but this is like the first 20, 30, 50 seconds, I don't know how long, of the movie. You have Tina in prison, I guess, space prison with Krieg, and somehow they're best friends, which I guess we can suspend disbelief since they didn't really give us any backstory between the two. Maybe they share a cell next to each other. I don't know, man. Like, you never get like this whole Tina likes to make bombs and blow shit up, right? It just felt so disjointed, and I don't understand why they had to like do that. And I'm pretty sure that that's part of the reshoot. I think that and I talked about this on my stream the other day. I think that the reshoots were an answer to fan problems, because we know for a fact that the reshoots that Cate Blanchett did, she was wearing like a very dark black outfit, because we have like the paparazzi photos of her going on set. In those scenes is where she's captured a guy and she's taking him to a bar. I think that that scene did a pretty good job of setting up who she is as a character, but that character isn't really Lilith that we know. You know what I mean? But in that scene, she talks about being an aging bounty hunter. The reshoots that we know that Kevin Hart and Ariana Greenblatt did, they make a short joke about Kevin Hart. So I think those reshoots, those two reshoots alone, were an answer to fan criticisms. At least I guess they kind of tried, but it very, very much felt shoehorned in. Honest to goodness, they really could have just started this movie just like they started Borderlands 1 or Borderlands 2, the video games, with, you know, your introduction, Skag getting run over by, you know, a vehicle, Marcus telling the story. That would have been a perfect setup for this. Honestly, I don't see why they needed to, you know, deviate from that formula. Instead, they have Lilith give a narration at the beginning, and it didn't feel, I don't know, it felt emotionless, and it ends with kind of like a bit of a punchline that's not very funny. There's a million things that I can sit here and say that I dislike about the movie. Ultimately, I read a review from Bleeding Cool that gave this movie a 5 out of 10, and it kind of nailed what I think is, you know, a good summary of this. While I was watching the movie, I was having fun, but it was stupid, empty fun, and then the movie ends and I just felt nothing. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters. There never felt like there was any real, I don't know, no real growth of anybody. There's several things that also happen that just make no sense at all. There's characters that we see for like a second. Like we get, I hate to say this, but I think I might have had more screen time than Scooter and Ellie, and that's sad because they appear in just like the briefest of scenes, and that's just embarrassing. Crom, who supposedly is in this movie, but he's wearing a mouthpiece mask. I don't understand what that was all about. Crom is, he's in the movie and he fights Krieg for like 5 seconds, and that's all we got of Crom. There's so much that I can say about this, and I could sit here and be like the most negative person on the internet, but I don't think it does anybody any good. I'll just say that I'm disappointed. I'm a little bit heartbroken by this movie. I have watched it twice, so you can't say K6 you need to give it a second viewing. No, I watched it twice. Both times I watched it with a large group of people. First time in Hollywood, second time with a bunch of my moderators from Twitch. Both times at the end I just kind of felt nothing, you know, and I hate that. I hate that because I love Borderlands. Borderlands is like a passion for me, and I've never been like a big story guy with the video games because I'd play the games to play the games, not to sit there listening to story. But you expect a movie to actually really focus on the story, and it felt like that was their least focused on thing in this movie. I don't know who to blame, but somebody is to blame. Because this is not a good movie, but it's not the worst movie that I've ever seen. And I've seen people just absolutely calling this the biggest disaster, the worst video game adaptation. It's definitely not. It's 100% not. I know that it's easy to knee jerk and say, this is the worst thing ever. It's not. It's not good, but it's definitely not the worst video game adaptation of all time, guys. Come on. At least there's some elements of Borderlands in this, whereas like some of those Uwe Boll movies, I'm just like, they just put a video game name on this and did whatever the hell they wanted, dude. This is a nightmare. So yeah, it's not great. It's not the worst. It's kind of mid. So like I said, the Bleeding Cool review, who gave it a 5 out of 10, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna agree with that. I don't know how to rate movies. I'm not a movie critic, and I've seen so many 5 out of 10 reviews that I fully agreed with all of the things that they said. So I have to imagine that my rating is actually a 5 out of 10 because I felt very mid about this movie. That said, I would bump it a little bit for the fan service elements if they hadn't screwed so many of those things up too. So for me, it's a 5 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon for more. We're gonna focus on the Borderlands video games the rest of our lives over here, guys. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about another Borderlands movie. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.